All right, so why didn't Spokane Public Schools find the concerning records during the background check for Santos Picasso?
So we go through a background process that includes criminal background checks, doesn't catch civil activities, and especially not family court activities.
All right, and so has Spokane Public Schools changed its background check process after the Sean Audie incident?
We're going through a process of evaluating our background check procedures. That will include this most recent incident, also the Sean Audie piece of it, and so we're working through that right now. There's a lot of different moving parts and pieces, a lot of different considerations, a lot of different ways you can do that, a lot of third-party providers. So we're going through an evaluation process to see what our needs are and then what best fits those needs.
And do you have any specifics on how that policy is changing or specific areas you're looking at?
So the policy hasn't changed at this point in time. We're still in the information gathering process, but there's a number of ways you can do it. Currently, our backgrounding process is run entirely in-house through HR. There's some ways to do that externally, so either through investigative type services, or there's some technologies in place as well that can assist with that process. So we're looking at all those different options. We're looking at our need, and we're trying to figure out what best meets the need that we have.
So what's the criteria for the next Spokane Public School security chief?
You know, our focus has really been in the last couple of days on the immediate incident at hand. So we received from an anonymous source on Monday some allegations and documents that contained allegations that were very serious. So we moved immediately to ascertain the authenticity of those documents, and then also to start to understand the allegations in those and the truthfulness behind those. So our focus has really been on doing that and then dealing with the matter at hand. We haven't spent a bunch of time at this point on what our next steps are going to be. We did go through a robust process of recruitment and hiring. I don't expect that our criteria and our job description is going to change dramatically, but we'll look at everything.
And so what would need to show up on a background check to disqualify an applicant?
So it's very position dependent, but obviously any kind of criminal history is going to be problematic for most of the work that we do. Most of our 4,000 employees do interface with students, and so with the student population comes some need to have some protectivity of that population. Not all of our employees do have interface with students, so it'll vary a bit by job description, but certainly if there's criminal activity and criminal history that comes up, that's going to be a problem.
What about specifically for a security chief? Would there be any specific disqualifiers for that position, or?
Again, any kind of criminal history and background that would come up, that would include arrest records and include any kind of criminal convictions, obviously. In this case, there was none of that. There was no arrest records, there was no police reports, there were no criminal findings, there were no convictions.
All right, and so is Spokane Public Schools maybe going back and redoing all the background checks that they have out currently in light of this incident, or is that something that's not going to happen?
That's not something that's been discussed.
All right, and then I think you said earlier it's in-house. So is it only in-house, or is there anyone else that helps conduct the background checks for Spokane Public Schools?
So maybe the easiest thing to do is walk you through the process that we go through. So when you're identified as a finalist for a position with Spokane Public Schools, you do go through a background check that includes fingerprinting and running through the FBI database and the Washington State Patrol database for criminal history. Reference checks are done with our candidates as well, so previous employers and other references that are listed. And so that's the process that we go through. It's a pretty robust process of going through the FBI background check and the fingerprinting process. So the process is initiated in-house. Obviously, we don't do the FBI background check. Those fingerprints are submitted for completion by a third party.
So the FBI fingerprint is the one third-party thing that happens? Yeah. Is that the only third-party thing, or?
That's what goes out in-house. So the reference checks are done in-house by our HR department.